This morning, you may have done something older than cities, older than farming, older than written language. You put color on your face. A little lipstick, some eyebrow pencil, a dab of foundation. Most people do this every day without thinking twice. But have you ever stopped and asked, when did this habit actually start? Some ancient royal court? A cosmetics brand 100 years ago? Neither. The answer goes so far back that it stops sounding like beauty history and starts sounding like human evolution. In 2011, an international archaeology team entered a cave called Blombos, right on the coast of South Africa. Inside, they pulled out a collection of tools, abalone shells, grinding stones, bone-stirring sticks, along with traces of ochre pigment and animal fat. This wasn't cookware. This was a complete makeup kit. They ran the dating. 100,000 years old. 100,000 years. No written language yet. No farming, no permanent settlements. And someone in the Stone Age already knew how to blend pigment with fat and apply it to their own face. The foundation sitting on your dresser this morning and the red pigment mixed inside that abalone shell belong to the same ancient human impulse to take the body nature gave you and deliberately change the way it speaks. But that's not even the most surprising part. In 2018, another research team found something in a coastal cave in southeastern Spain. Seashells, with holes deliberately punched through them, stained with red and yellow mineral pigments. These weren't food scraps. They were jewelry. Someone had worn them on purpose. The dating came back, 115,000 years, and here's the key. The species that left these behind wasn't Homo sapiens. It was Neanderthals. Before modern humans had even fully emerged, another species was already decorating itself. Makeup is older than humanity, and that's the first assumption I want to challenge today. A lot of people think makeup is a product of modern consumerism, brand marketing, beauty anxiety, social media pressure, and honestly, that sounds reasonable. But the archaeological evidence tells a very different story. When a species that's still hunting with stone tools, still eating raw meat, stops what it's doing to put color on its body, that's not social pressure anymore. That's instinct. So the real question is not, when did humans invent makeup? The real question is, why did the human brain care about the face this much in the first place? Let's jump forward tens of thousands of years and see what happened once civilizations appeared. Ancient Egypt, about 4,000 years ago. You've probably heard that Egyptians wore eyeliner, but here's something you might not know. In ancient Egypt, makeup wasn't optional, it was standard. Pharaohs wore it, priests wore it, farmers wore it, men, women, children, everyone, no exceptions. The material they used was called kohl, a lead-based pigment. Lead sounds dangerous, right? But in 2010, France's National Center for Scientific Research ran a study and found something unexpected. The lead compounds in Egyptian kohl, when in contact with skin, triggered the body to produce nitric oxide. And nitric oxide? It's a natural antibacterial molecule. In the Nile Valley, constant sandstorms, flies everywhere. Wearing eyeliner wasn't about beauty, it was about keeping your eyes from getting infected. They were using cosmetics as medicine. By now, you might be starting to notice a pattern. Makeup keeps showing up across different civilizations, but the reasons are never the same. For Neanderthals, it might have been ritual. For Egypt, it was medical. So what about the rest of the world? China took a completely different path. During the Warring States period around 400 BC, women in the Kingdom of Chu already had a full cosmetic routine. White powder as a base, dark pigment for eyebrows, red tint for the lips. But what's truly interesting isn't the makeup itself, it's what makeup came to mean. When the poet Qu Yuan wrote his masterpiece, Li Sao, he didn't just say, "I am loyal." He didn't say, "I am righteous." Instead, he wrote about planting orchids, wearing jade, adorning himself with fragrant herbs. In classical Chinese culture, how you presented yourself on the outside was a direct statement about who you were on the inside. By the Tang Dynasty, this reached another level entirely. A woman's full makeup routine involved over a dozen steps. Lead powder base, rouge for color, delicate moth-shaped eyebrows, gold flower ornaments pressed to the forehead, beauty marks dotted on the cheeks, decorative streaks along the temples, lip tint to finish. That wasn't getting ready in the morning, that was painting a portrait on a living face. The streets of Chang'an, the capital, were basically an open-air art gallery. But sometimes, makeup came at a cost, a deadly one. The ancient Romans were obsessed with pale skin. Their solution? A substance called white lead carbonate. It worked instantly. One application and your skin looked like polished marble. The problem? Lead is a poison. Long-term use caused hair loss, tooth decay, mental deterioration, and eventually, organ failure and death. And here's the truly cruel part. One of the early symptoms of lead poisoning is your skin turning gray and dull. So what did they do? They applied more white lead. They were using poison to cover up the damage caused by poison. And that cycle lasted for centuries. You think your morning routine is a hassle? In ancient Rome, getting ready could kill you. Step back and you see the larger pattern. The same basic action, putting color on the human face, kept reappearing across time. In Egypt, it could mean protection. In China, refinement and moral character. In Rome, status and class. In other cultures, ritual, marriage, spirituality, mourning, adulthood, or belonging. Different meanings, different materials, different rules. But again and again, societies separated by oceans and thousands of years returned to the same strange act. They turned the face into a signal. Why? This can't be a coincidence. And it's not. The answer is in your brain. In the 2000s, psychologist Richard Russell studied something called facial contrast, the visual difference between the eyes, lips, and the surrounding skin. He took the same photograph of a human face and created two versions, one with higher facial contrast, one with lower. Then he showed both to test subjects from different countries, different ethnic backgrounds, and asked, which face is more attractive? The result was nearly unanimous. The high contrast face, darker eyes, redder lips, more even skin, was picked almost every time. And this preference? It crossed every cultural and ethnic line tested. All of humanity shares the same baseline standard. Now think about what makeup is actually doing. Lipstick amplifies the color gap between your lips and your skin. Eyeliner amplifies the contrast around your eyes. Blush mimics the flush of blood rising to your cheeks, a signal of health, youth, vitality. Makeup doesn't paint a new face over yours. It turns up the signals your face is already sending. And that judgment system, the one your brain uses to read those signals, wasn't taught to you by culture. It was written into your neural wiring by hundreds of thousands of years of natural selection. The person in that cave 100,000 years ago, and you, standing in front of your mirror this morning, are running on the same code. And now the story takes a turn. Because if makeup is so ancient, so natural, and so deeply human, why have so many societies tried to shame it, restrict it, or control it? Now, up to this point, this is a beautiful story, right? A behavior encoded in our biology, carried across every civilization, spanning 100,000 years. But what happened next? Changed everything. In medieval Europe, religious authorities often treated excessive adornment with suspicion. The logic was simple. If God created your face, then changing it could be framed as pride, vanity, or deception. Women who wore lip color were suspected of witchcraft. I'll say that again. In that era, a single tube of lipstick could put you on a burning stake. By the 18th century, this anxiety had turned into open mockery and moral panic. Pamphlets, satirists, and social critics attacked cosmetics as fraud, as if a woman changing how she looked was somehow tricking society itself. Makeup became dangerous not because of what it did to the skin, but because of what it did to perception. It gave the wearer control over how other people saw them, and that is the part power has always found uncomfortable. During World War II, Nazi ideology promoted a strict ideal for German women: natural-looking, domestic, obedient, racially pure. Heavy makeup did not fit that image. Meanwhile, Britain made a very different choice. Even under wartime rationing, cosmetics production did not completely stop. Food was rationed, fuel was rationed, fabric was rationed, but lipstick and face powder were still treated as part of public morale. On one side, a dictator stripping women of their autonomy. On the other, a nation turning lipstick into a symbol of freedom. A single tube of lipstick became a battlefield between two ideologies. Think this is just old history? In 2021, when the Taliban retook Afghanistan, every beauty salon in Kabul was shut down overnight. Women were banned from wearing makeup, banned from showing their faces, banned from going to school. Look closely and you'll notice a pattern. Every time a power wants to control its people, one of the first freedoms to go is the freedom to decide how you look. Because makeup, at its core, was never about beauty. It represents one sentence. I get to decide what I look like. And that sentence has made those in power uneasy for a very long time. Now, let's go back to the beginning, back to that cave, the coast of South Africa, Blombos Cave. 100,000 years ago, that human didn't know what beauty standards were, didn't know what social media was, had no idea that one day the simple act of putting color on skin would be called a crime. They just sat at the mouth of the cave, looked out at the ocean, reached into the abalone shell, and pressed the red against their face. Maybe it was for a ritual, maybe it was courage before a hunt, or maybe there was no reason at all. Maybe it just felt different. 100,000 years. From that cave entrance to your dresser this morning, countless civilizations have risen and fallen in between. But this one act, reaching for something and putting it on your face, has never stopped. Because it was never about looking good. And every morning, when you stand in front of the mirror, you are deciding what that signal will be. A lot of people think history is distant, boring, irrelevant. But look, the thing you did in the mirror this morning, there's a 100,000-year timeline hiding right behind it. So many of our daily habits, what we eat, what we wear, how we present ourselves, didn't come from nowhere. Behind every single one, there's a story that stretches across civilizations. If this video showed you something new, a like really helps. It makes a big difference for a new channel like this one. And if you want more, hit subscribe. We'll keep exploring the things you do every day but have never thought to question. See you in the next one.